Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car. The rain poured down hard on the dimly lit streets of Los Angeles. It was past midnight, and most of the city was asleep. Keanu Reeves had just wrapped up a long day on set, his mind exhausted, but his heart still open to the world around him. As he drove his black Porsche down an empty road, his headlights cut through the rain, revealing a small figure sitting on the sidewalk. A young boy no older than 10 was huddled under a tattered blanket, his bare feet tucked beneath him. The sight pulled at Keanu's heart. Without a second thought, he pulled over. Rolling down his window, he leaned out and spoke gently. "Hey kid, you okay?" The boy, startled, looked up. His face was pale, his eyes filled with something between fear and hope. "I'm fine," he murmured, but the rumbling of his stomach betrayed him. Keanu hesitated for only a second before pushing open the passenger door. "Hop in," he said. "It's cold out." The boy hesitated. He had learned not to trust strangers, but something about the man, his voice, his calm demeanor, felt safe. Slowly the boy got up and stepped into the warm car. Keanu turned the heat up. "What's your name?" "Lucas," the boy said, rubbing his hands together. "Where's your family?" Lucas looked down. "I don't have one." Keanu's jaw tightened. He had read too many stories about kids like Lucas, lost, abandoned, forgotten. He took a deep breath and turned the car back onto the road. "All right, Lucas, how about this? We grab some food first, then we figure things out." Lucas nodded quickly, his hunger overcoming any hesitation. They stopped at a small diner where Keanu ordered 2 burgers, a plate of fries, and hot chocolate. Lucas ate like he hadn't had a proper meal in days. Keanu watched in silence, his mind already racing with ideas on how to help. After dinner, Keanu made a call. He knew a shelter run by a good friend, one that helped kids like Lucas find a better future. But for that night, he made sure the boy had a warm place to stay, safe and away from the cold streets. As Keanu dropped Lucas off at the shelter, the boy turned to him, hesitation in his eyes. "Will I see you again?" Keanu smiled and placed a reassuring hand on Lucas's shoulder. "Count on it." And he meant it, because in a world where kindness was often rare, Keanu Reeves had just changed a life with a simple act of compassion. The end. Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car, Part 2. Days turned into weeks, and Keanu couldn't stop thinking about Lucas. He checked in with the shelter regularly, making sure the boy was okay. The staff told him Lucas was adjusting, slowly, but he still barely spoke to anyone. One evening, after wrapping up a film shoot, Keanu decided to visit. He pulled up to the shelter and knocked on the door. A woman named Maria, the shelter's director, greeted him with a warm smile. "He's been waiting for you," she whispered, leading Keanu inside. In the corner of the room, Lucas sat alone, sketching something on a piece of paper. When he looked up and saw Keanu, his eyes lit up. "You came back." "I told you I would." Keanu sat across from him. "What are you drawing?" Lucas hesitated, then turned the paper around. It was a sketch of Keanu's car from that rainy night, with a tiny figure, himself, sitting inside. The words, "First time feeling safe," were written at the bottom. Keanu felt a lump in his throat. He had always been known for his kindness, but this was different. This was personal. "I was thinking," Keanu said carefully, "how would you feel about coming to visit a movie set? See how everything works?" Lucas's eyes widened. "For real?" Keanu grinned. "For real." The next day, Keanu picked up Lucas and took him to the film set. The boy's eyes danced with excitement as he watched cameras rolling, actors rehearsing, and directors shouting instructions. But what fascinated him most was the art department, the sketches, the designs, the way everything was built from paper into reality. Keanu noticed. "You like drawing, huh?" Lucas nodded. "I always wanted to make things, like, big things, in movies." Keanu ruffled the boy's hair. "Then we're gonna make that happen." Over the next few months, Keanu helped Lucas enroll in an art program for kids. He even introduced him to some of the best set designers in Hollywood. Lucas, once just a forgotten boy on the streets, now had a future. A real one. Years later, at the premiere of a new action blockbuster, a young man in a sharp suit stood next to Keanu Reeves on the red carpet. Lucas had grown up, and tonight was his big night, his first official job as a concept artist for a major film. Reporters swarmed them, asking about the movie, the designs and the inspiration behind the artwork. Lucas smiled, glancing at Keanu before answering. "It all started one rainy night when a stranger stopped his car for me." Keanu patted his back, proud. Not a stranger, he corrected. Family. And just like that, Lucas's life had come full circle, all because one man chose kindness when the world turned away. The end. Here's the final part of the story, bringing everything full circle. Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car, part 3. The applause echoed through the Grand Theater as the movie credits rolled. Lucas stood beside Keanu, overwhelmed by emotion. The film was a massive success, and his designs had brought the director's vision to life in a way no one had expected. After the premiere, the two of them walked out to the quiet street, away from the flashing cameras. Lucas looked up at the star-filled sky, taking a deep breath. "I still can't believe this is real," he said. Keanu smiled. "It is. And this is just the beginning." As they walked toward Keanu's car, yes, the same black Porsche from all those years ago. Lucas hesitated. "You know," he said, "I used to be afraid of cars. Every time I saw one pass by, I thought people inside wouldn't even notice me, that I was invisible." Keanu leaned against the hood of the car, arms crossed. "And now," Lucas chuckled, "now I realize that sometimes the right person does notice, and that one moment can change everything." Keanu nodded. "Exactly." They stood there in comfortable silence for a moment before Lucas spoke again. "I want to do something." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Lucas turned to him, determination in his eyes. "I want to help kids like me, the ones who feel invisible, the ones who just need a chance." A slow, proud smile spread across Keanu's face. "Then let's make it happen." A year later, the Lucas Initiative was born, a program dedicated to helping homeless and at-risk youth find their passion in the arts, film, and storytelling. Keanu, of course, was its biggest supporter. At the launch event, reporters surrounded Lucas asking about his journey. But one question stood out the most. If you could say something to your younger self, the boy sitting alone in the rain that night, what would it be? Lucas thought for a moment before answering with a smile. "Hold on, someone's coming for you." From the crowd, Keanu Reeves watched with pride, knowing that his one small act of kindness had created a ripple that would change countless lives. And with that, Lucas wasn't just the boy Keanu Reeves once saved, he had become the man who would now save others. The end. I hope you like the full story. Let me know if you want any tweaks or more additions. Sure. Let's take the story even further, expanding on Lucas's mission, Keanu's role, and the impact they create together. Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car, part 4. Years passed, and the Lucas Initiative grew beyond anything Lucas had imagined. What started as a small program helping homeless kids find creative outlets had now become a full-fledged foundation, offering scholarships, mentorship programs, and even internships in Hollywood's biggest studios. But Lucas never forgot where it all began. One rainy evening, he found himself driving through the same streets where Keanu had first found him. He slowed down near a familiar spot, outside a closed-down diner, the place where he had once eaten his first real meal in years. That's when he saw her. A young girl, maybe 13, was sitting under an awning, her arms wrapped tightly around herself for warmth. She had a small backpack beside her, likely carrying everything she owned. Lucas pulled over. Rolling down his window, he leaned out and spoke softly. "Hey kid, you okay?" The girl flinched, just like he had all those years ago. "I'm fine," she murmured, though her shivering body told a different story. Lucas hesitated for only a second before pushing open the passenger door. "Hop in, it's cold out." The girl looked at him uncertain. Lucas smiled. "Don't worry, I know how it feels. Someone once did this for me." Slowly the girl got in. Lucas turned up the heat just like Keanu had done for him. "What's your name?" he asked. The girl hesitated. "Emma." "Where's your family?" Emma looked down. "I don't have one." Lucas's heart clenched. He took a deep breath and turned the car back onto the road. "All right, Emma," he said with a small smile. "How about this? We grab some food first, then we figure things out?" Emma nodded quickly, her hunger overcoming her hesitation. As Lucas drove, he glanced at the passenger seat, seeing his younger self in her, and in that moment he realized something. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about passing it forward, just like Keanu had done for him. And so on another rainy night, a new story began. A story of hope, of kindness, of second chances. Because sometimes all it takes is one person stopping their car to change your life forever. The end. Or perhaps, the beginning. I love how this story has come full circle. What do you think? Absolutely. Let's keep the story going and explore how Lucas continues the cycle of kindness and how Keanu remains a guiding figure in his life. Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car. Part 5. Lucas took Emma to a quiet diner, just like Keanu had done for him all those years ago. The warm air inside melted away the chill from her small frame, and the smell of fresh coffee and grilled burgers filled the air. They sat in a booth, and Lucas watched as Emma hesitantly picked up the menu. "Get whatever you want," he said. Emma stared at him, unsure. "Really?" Lucas nodded. "Really." Slowly she ordered a burger, fries and a hot chocolate. Lucas smiled, the same exact meal Keanu had once bought for him. As they ate, Emma finally opened up. She had been living on the streets for nearly a year after losing her mother. She had no one, no home, no future. Lucas leaned back, listening carefully. He had heard similar stories through the Lucas Initiative, but this time was different. This time, it was personal. When they finished eating, Lucas pulled out his phone and sent a quick message. A few moments later, his phone buzzed. The reply was simple: "Bring her." Lucas smiled. "Come on, Emma. There's someone I want you to meet." A meeting with Keanu Reeves. Lucas drove across the city, heading to a quiet cafe near the hills. Emma sat beside him, still wary but somehow trusting him. When they arrived, they walked inside to find a man sitting at a corner table, sipping tea. Keanu Reeves. His hair was slightly longer now, streaked with touches of silver, but his eyes held the same warmth as the night he had picked Lucas up in the rain. Keanu looked up and smiled. "Hey kid," Lucas grinned. "Hey old man." Keanu chuckled and then turned his attention to Emma. His smile softened. "You must be Emma." Emma froze. She knew who he was. She had seen his movies before, back when she still had a home when life was normal. But seeing him here right in front of her was different. She nodded shyly. Keanu motioned to the seat across from him. "Sit. Let's talk." She hesitated, then slid into the booth. Lucas sat next to her. Keanu leaned forward, resting his arms on the table. "Lucas told me a little about you. I just want you to know you're not alone anymore." Emma blinked, staring at him. "Why are you helping me?" Keanu smiled. "Because someone once helped him." He nodded toward Lucas. "And now it's his turn to help you." Emma swallowed hard, unsure how to process it. Lucas leaned in. "You don't have to figure everything out today, Emma. Just take it one step at a time. Let us hope." Emma looked between them, her walls slowly crumbling. For the first time in a long time, she felt something she thought she had lost forever. Hope. The cycle of kindness continues. A few weeks later, Emma had a place at the Lucas Initiative, staying in a safe home with other kids who had been given second chances. She discovered a love for filmmaking, directing, writing, storytelling. Lucas and Keanu visited often, checking in on her progress. Keanu even took her to a movie set, showing her the magic behind the scenes. One day, Emma sat in a quiet office, working on a script for a short film about a homeless girl finding hope. Lucas peeked in. "Writing something good?" he asked. Emma smirked. "Maybe." Lucas leaned against the doorframe. "What's it called?" Emma hesitated, then smiled. "The Night a Stranger Stopped for Me." Lucas's heart swelled with pride. The cycle of kindness had continued, and it all started with one man on one rainy night choosing to stop his car. The end. What do you think? Should we keep it going? Let's take the story even further, exploring Emma's journey and how she follows in Lucas and Keanu's footsteps. Keanu Reeves invites a homeless boy to his car. Part 6. 5 years later, the theater was packed. The lights dimmed, the screen flickered to life, and the audience fell silent. Emma sat in the director's seat. Her director's seat. She had worked tirelessly for this moment, pouring her heart into every scene, every shot, every word. The film began. The Night a Stranger Stopped for Me. It wasn't just a movie. It was her story. The story of a girl, lost and alone, who found hope when someone took the time to notice her. Lucas sat in the front row, pride beaming from his face. Keanu sat beside him, his signature quiet smile on his lips. The film played, and as the final scene faded to black, the audience erupted in applause. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She had made it. A moment with Keanu. After the premiere, Emma found herself standing outside looking at the stars. The night was quiet, peaceful. Keanu walked up beside her. "How do you feel?" Emma exhaled. "Like I'm dreaming." Keanu smiled. "It's not a dream, it's just the beginning." She turned to face him. "I wanted to tell you something. I wouldn't be here without you, without Lucas, without that night." Keanu chuckled softly. "I think Lucas would say the same thing about me." Emma smirked. "So, technically, you're the reason all of this happened." Keanu shrugged. "Or maybe, kindness just has a way of finding its way back to us." Emma thought about that. Maybe he was right. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small, a folded piece of paper. "I saved this," she said, handing it to him. Keanu unfolded it and smiled. It was Lucas's old drawing, the one he had made years ago, a sketch of Keanu's car with a tiny boy inside and the words "first time feeling safe." Emma had traced over it, but she had added something new, another figure. Herself. Keanu stared at it for a long moment, then folded it carefully and placed it in his pocket. "You know what this means, right?" he asked. Emma smiled knowingly. "Yeah?" Keanu nodded. "One day it'll be your turn." Emma looked out at the city, letting the words sink in. She wasn't just someone who had been saved anymore. She was someone who would save others. And just like that, the cycle continued, because sometimes all it takes is one person stopping to help. And kindness never stops. The end, but really, just the beginning. I hope you love this continuation. Should we take it even further?